I'm Renea, a retired educator turned wine bar conversationalist. This is Conversations Over Wine, where wisdom is poured and stories are shared. Each week, we slow down, pour a glass, and talk about life's lessons, aging with intention, and what really matters as we grow older. I'm so glad you're here. Let's begin. After recording my last podcast titled Date Yourself, I realized I had a lot more to say on the topic. As I stated in part 1, this is a topic close to my heart and something I have done quite often. I've personally seen and experienced the benefits of dating myself and have learned to embrace the solitude of it. Dating yourself allows you to still experience the things that you want to do, even if no one else is interested, can make it work, or just maybe you decide you just want to do it by yourself. We discussed how it can build confidence. It can teach you to sit in your own thoughts and also allow you to embrace your own opinions and choices without needing to bounce them off another person. It also provides the opportunity to take in a lot more from your surroundings because you're not engaged in a conversation with someone. So you're able to sit and take it in and enjoy everything that's going on around you. Dating yourself is very liberating, but it does not come without some challenges. That's something I really didn't get into too much in the last episode. So I'd really kind of like to think about that a little bit today and talk about what those challenges can be. So let's get into those while we savor our wine or coffee or soda or whatever your pleasure. So when you go on your dates with yourself, it can be very liberating, can help you build your confidence, but can also be a little challenging, especially at the beginning. So what are some of those challenges? Well, speaking from my own personal experience, there are times when you feel like maybe people are looking at you or judging you or wondering, why is she sitting there by herself? Does she not have any friends? Does she not have a significant other? And sometimes those thoughts are probably going to go through your head. They have gone through mine on occasion. So don't be surprised if that doesn't happen. But here's something I have learned in my own life is that really people are not thinking about you and judging you quite as often as you think they are. They're going on about their lives and they're doing their own thing, and most likely they're not sitting there wondering what you're doing by yourself. And if they are, it's likely that maybe they're thinking, wow, I wish I had the confidence to do that. Or isn't she brave? Look at her. She's not afraid to go out and do these things alone. That's been my experience is, you're going to think it sometimes, you're going to wonder, but most likely they're either not thinking about you, or if they are, maybe they're thinking some really positive thoughts about it. And even if they're not, let's say possibly that they're thinking, oh my gosh, why is she all by herself? Or maybe they've seen you there multiple times. Maybe they've seen you at the movie theater, 2 or 3 times by yourself watching a movie. And maybe they do have some unpleasant thought about you. So what? Doesn't really matter if they do. I tell myself all the time, other people's opinions of me are not my business. That seems to kind of take some of that sting away when I think about that. So yeah, that can be a challenge, is you getting inside your own head and wondering what other people are thinking. But I hope some of the things I just talked about can maybe help you navigate that a little bit. Another challenge can be actually feeling lonely when you're on a date with yourself. That will happen. You will sometimes sit there and maybe reminisce about another time that you had been to that place or did that thing with someone. And there are going to be times that you feel a little lonely. And I have had those times where I'm on a date with myself. Maybe I'm sitting in a restaurant enjoying a meal by myself, and maybe I've been there in the past with somebody I cared about and feel a little bit lonely. But you know what? That's perfectly normal. And I've learned to just kind of move through those feelings, not over them or around them, but just kind of to embrace it. Say, you know what? It's okay for me to reminisce and feel a little lonely right now. Those are memories, those are things that I've experienced, and that's okay. They had a time and a place. And okay, I'm feeling a little lonely right now. And that's okay. Just kind of maybe try to move through it, embrace those feelings, and continue on your date with yourself. I think realizing that that is going to be a part, something that could possibly happen, maybe it won't be as, so upsetting when it does happen. It's normal for us to feel lonely sometimes. I'm alone a lot. I live alone and I do date myself a lot. Yes, I have a social life. Yes, I have friends that I spend time with. I spend time with my daughters. But I also do a lot by myself. And as much as I love it, I do feel lonely sometimes. But I've taught myself that that's normal and that that's okay. And I allow myself to just kind of move through those feelings and just not allow them to linger too long, but also not just shove them aside. And so just know that as you're on dates with yourself, and maybe you've experienced that on your own, if you have done some dating on your own, just with yourself, I'm sure you've had moments of loneliness. And I just want to share that I feel like that is perfectly normal. Another challenge that you might face on your dates with yourself is, trying to decide what it is you want to do. Being semi-retired, I have a lot more free time than I did before. And so I have more time to go and do what I want. And so what I've started doing is keeping a journal. I do love to journal and write. It helps me process my thoughts. But I have a little working list in my journal of places I want to go. So then if I have a day where nothing's really planned, and I'm like, you know what? I want to take myself on a date today. I want to go do something. I can look back at my list and say, oh yeah, I've been dying to go here. Like something I've been thinking about lately is I haven't been to the Modern Museum here in Fort Worth in over a year. So I've been thinking, you know what? I wrote that on my list. And now on the next Monday that I have free, I'm going to go to the Modern and I'm going to wander around. I'm going to enjoy the exhibits that are there. And that's something that I can do because it's on my list. It's something I've been wanting to do. So if you run out of ideas, you can always keep a little list of possibilities. I've gone to the zoo by myself. That was really enjoyable. I walked around all day. I went to the exhibits I wanted to go to. I chose a day that had really nice weather and didn't choose a Friday because I know a lot of times Fridays are field trip days. So I was trying to avoid, 100 kids running around. And so going to the zoo is something you can do. It's a lot of fun. The museums, we've talked about restaurants. Sometimes I even just go sit in the park or have a picnic in the park. So I have that on my list, is to go and just enjoy on a beautiful day. Go sit on a blanket, have my lunch. I might take my dog with me depending on the weather. Well, she's a Siberian Husky, so the weather needs to be nice and cool for her to really be able to enjoy it. I can also go and enjoy like the grand opening of a restaurant. That's a pretty fun thing to do. I enjoy trying out new places, new restaurants, maybe even go visit a whole area. Like maybe you decide, hey, I think I'll go to Grapevine. I've done that, and I've wandered up and down Main Street, stopped in the different shops, the different wine bars that are there, and eaten at a restaurant where I can sit outside and enjoy people watching and enjoy maybe some new cuisine. I've gone to the Bishop Arts District in Dallas before by myself and wandered around. So maybe there's an area that has a lot of shops and restaurants and maybe even a few little museums there that you've been wanting to visit. That's something fun you can do while you date yourself. Something else with dating yourself, something I've really tried to focus on, is the way that I look when I date myself. I try to compare it to if I were going on a date with, a gentleman. If I were going to a nice restaurant, well, I would dress really nice, right? Well, I do the same for myself. I try to take the same care with my appearance when I take myself on a date as I would if I were on a date with another person. Treat yourself with that same level of dignity and care, because that helps train your brain to believe that you are enough, that you are just as valuable as what you're trying to present to someone else. So I love to make sure that I've taken great care with my appearance whenever I take myself on a date. Just like in the last podcast, the part 1 of this, where I talked about the fact that if I go to a restaurant, and whether I'm sitting at a table or I go sit at the bar and have a meal, that I don't sit there on my phone the whole time. Why? Because I want to treat myself just like I would treat it if I were with somebody. I wouldn't sit there on my phone the whole time. So I try to treat myself that same way. That's training my brain to believe in my value and that I deserve the same level of respect that I would give somebody else that I was on a date with. So I think you can apply that same principle to the way that you look. I love it when I'm going someplace that's, kind of a nice place, and I get all dressed up, make sure my hair looks amazing, my makeup, I get everything looking really good for me. Just for me, because I deserve that. And it's just kind of a little trick on the brain that you can use. So just something to consider and think about if you decide to date yourself, or maybe you're going to share this idea with somebody else, is to make sure that your appearance is the same as it would be if you were going on a date with a significant other. I think that's an important piece of that, is that little challenge of, how am I going to look? What am I going to wear? Well, make it your best so that you will feel your best. I love that part of it. Another really cool thing about dating yourself and going to a movie or going to the restaurant or the museum or the zoo or the park or overnight trip or wherever it may be, is that you are shining your light for others to see. You're setting an example for other ladies or other gentlemen when they see you, when they see your confidence and that you're not afraid to go out and do the things that you want to do, even if you do them by yourself, think about the example that you're setting. I think about that when I do it because I have 2 daughters. My daughters are grown, but I think about that when I do different things, is what message am I sending to my daughters? But even if you don't have daughters or sons or children, but you can just be an inspiration for the people that see you. When they see you dressed nice in that restaurant, sitting at that table by yourself and enjoying every bite of that steak and every sip of that nice red wine, think about that you could be inspiring someone, even if it's just one person. There could be a lady sitting at a table nearby, and maybe she is with her husband, and she could be looking at you thinking, wow, look at her. Look how brave she is and how confident. I wonder if I could do that. So you could really be shining your light and not even know it. You could be inspiring other people to do what you're doing. Maybe something you've never really thought about. So you can inspire people that know you, but you can also inspire people that don't. The last challenge I want to talk about today in part 2 of dating yourself is the challenge of maybe finding the time to date yourself. I know for me, as I've mentioned, I'm semi-retired, so that's not a big issue for me, but I know it can be and was for me when I was working full-time, and could be for you as well. So I want to address a little bit of that, how to find the time to date yourself. Well, those opportunities could be there when, say, if you have a significant other, maybe they're out of town, maybe they're going with the guys to play golf, or maybe they've got a big project they're wanting to work on. That might free up a little time for you to go do something that you've been wanting to do. So realize time can be a challenge. So maybe if you do have a significant other, maybe try to find that time when they're busy doing something else. It can also be something you just become very intentional about. Like maybe you schedule that time. Maybe once every 2 weeks. Maybe if you don't have that amount of time, maybe once a month. Just put it into your schedule. Put it in there because it's important to you. It's kind of like exercise. If you decide something is of value and something you really want to work on, then we have to be intentional about it. So you could possibly put it in your calendar and mark it for every 2 weeks or once a month if that's your goal. Go ahead and put it in your calendar. Find a date that is open, that you don't have much going on, and put it in there. On Saturday, at 10 o'clock, I'm going to go to the zoo. I've been dying to go to the zoo. I know that they've got the baby elephant right now, which they do, and it's so adorable, at the Fort Worth Zoo. You could put that into your calendar. That's what I'm doing on that Saturday. So if finding time has been a little bit of a struggle, then maybe you can just put it in your calendar and schedule it. I have found with things that I need to work on, that I need to find the time for, that if I'll just go in and put it into my schedule, that seems to work a little bit better for me. So just being intentional about it might help you find the time. If it is important to you to date yourself, then I would encourage you to make sure that you're intentional about it. To me, it's very liberating, and it certainly builds a great deal of confidence in you and your own abilities. So I hope you've enjoyed this second part to dating yourself. And if you've enjoyed it, I would love for you to please take a few minutes to like, comment, download my podcast episodes. It would mean so much to me. And guys, I hope you've been having a wonderful weekend. And I want to thank you, as always, for joining me today as we sipped, savored, and reflected on this beautiful life that we've been given. And until next time, friends, cheers.